friends. Today I want to talk to you about my month of February. I read quite a bit, but I also wanted to talk to you a little bit about something more personal. My dog Murphy, he ended up in the hospital at the end of February, and it was a very, very scary time for me and my husband, but he is doing much better. He is on the mend. He's sitting right here with me. The goal for the next 2 weeks is to keep him as calm as possible. So that means that I am going to be sitting and hanging out with him as much as possible. So I foresee that I will hopefully be reading a lot more books in the month of March than I did in February, but we'll see what happens. But without further ado, I'm going to talk to you about the books that I read in the month of February. The first book that I finished is Shadow of Night by Deborah Harkness. This is the second book in the All Souls trilogy. This is second to Discovery of Witches. This book is about Diana and Matthew. Diana is a witch and Matthew is a vampire. In the first book, they meet, they fall in love, and in the second book, they have traveled back in time. It's very interesting watching them go through different periods of time, and Diana kind of connects the dots and is like, oh, Matthew is this in this timeline, and it's very unique. I liked that aspect of it. I liked that Diana is trying to figure out her powers, so there are more witches introduced in this book and different kinds of magical powers. There is, for lack of a better term, a dragon in this book, so I was all about that. But what really kept taking me out of the story was it's so long. It is so long, and it focuses so much on Diana's internal feelings. It just got really frustrating and repetitive. This is almost 600 pages, and I feel that not a lot happens for being that long. I ended up giving this book 3 stars, and I don't plan on continuing the series because I just couldn't get past the fact that there was way too much internal monologuing and not enough action. The next book that I ended up finishing was Katabasis by RF Kuang. This is about Alice and Peter, and they end up traveling into hell to try to find their professor. They are studying a very niche subject, and their professor is the only one that can pass them. And so they're so concerned with passing their college, and they need their professor. Plus, there's a couple other reasons why they both end up going to hell together. But I liked that aspect of it. I liked that this is based off of Dante's Inferno, but she puts a fresh spin on it where each circle of hell is a different area of college. For instance, the first circle of hell is like the commons, and the second circle of hell is like the library. I really, really enjoyed that aspect of this. I also liked that the characters are named Alice and Peter. It reminded me of Alice in Wonderland and Peter in Neverland, because you travel to these fantastical worlds and they are traveling to hell. I don't know. I don't know if that was intentional, but I really did enjoy that aspect of this. This is a chunky book. It's a very chunky book. I ended up giving it 4 stars. It was a little long. I think that I just didn't see enough of a resolution. When I was listening to it, I was enjoying it, but I wasn't eager to pick it back up, if that makes sense. It just felt like a 4. I don't know how else to explain it. The next book that I read is The Mystery Guest by Nita Prose. This is the second Molly the Maid book, the first one being The Maid. And I read The Maid years ago for a book club through the library, and I really enjoyed it. Molly was such a cute, endearing character, and this book, we are still following Molly the Maid, and there has been another tragedy at the hotel that she works for. She is trying to clear her name along with some of her staff members' names and is trying to solve the murder herself. This book was okay for me. I thought it was a cozy little mystery, but I just didn't feel like you could solve it on your own. I think that there was too many pieces that were hidden behind everything else going on. And I miss the aspect of Molly and her sweet man. He was out of town for the whole book. I did end up giving this book 3 stars, and I will continue this series. Next, I read The Apothecary Diaries Volume 13 and Volume 14. The Apothecary Diaries is about a young girl named Mau Mau, and she works for the inner courts. She kind of goes between employers, but she works solving mysteries, making medicine, making sure that whoever she's working for, their food is not poisoned. She does quite a few little odd jobs throughout the imperial court. I adore the series. I think it's so cute. I love the detective and the medicine aspect of all of it, and I will definitely be continuing the series. I'm actually caught up. Later this month, there is another volume coming out, but the anime is ahead of the manga. So I think that I know what to expect in the next volume, but I am still going to read it. Because I love the Apothecary Diaries so much, I ended up coming across this video on Instagram by bookish.hb. I will link them down below, but she has a little series of, if you like this anime, you'll like this book. I took her recommendation and I ended up reading The Nightblood Prince by Molly X. Chang. This was like Mulan meets a love triangle meets vampires. It was so good. I loved this story. It is YA. It doesn't read like YA though. It was so good. So if you like Mulan and vampires and a love triangle, I would definitely read this. It didn't feel like the Apothecary Diaries. I think the only reason she recommended this book based off the Apothecary Diaries is because it has a similar setting to Imperial China. And also our main character, she has powers of premonition, and sometimes they get in her trouble. But oh my gosh, it was so good. I ended up giving this book 4.25 stars. And of course, it's a new series. So of course I had to start a new series. So I will definitely continue the Nightblood Prince series. I just don't know when the next book is going to come out. The next book that I read was Fangs by Sarah Andersen. This is just a cute little graphic novel. It is about a vampire and a werewolf, and each little page is its own separate story. It's just cute, quirky little vampire werewolf jokes, and it was just adorable. I wish that there was a little bit more about their relationship, or maybe more of like an ongoing story, but for what it was worth, it was very cute. I gave this book 4 stars. The next book that I read was The Guest by B.A. Paris. I ended up reading this book for my Traveling Annotated book series. That is where my book club annotates a book, passes it on to the next reader, and we all kind of share our thoughts and opinions in the margins. And I like doing that for the mysteries because we're able to kind of discuss who we think the bad guy is, and it's just really cute. This book was kind of a letdown, to be honest, but let me tell you what it's about. This book is about a couple who come home from vacation and they find their friend staying at their house. Not uncommon, but not expected. And it turns out that their friend's husband has a secret child with somebody. And so they are trying to figure out the mystery of that, help their friend grieve, and they're trying to make new friendships with the new couple in town. There is a lot of drama in this book, and if you want more details, you can click the link up above, and that will take you to my reading vlog specific for this book. I definitely was disappointed in the end. I ended up giving this book 2.5 stars. The last book that I read is Lady Tan's Circle of Women by Lisa C. This book was so good, y'all. I'm not a historical fiction person, and I ate this book up. I loved it. In that video of if you like this anime, read this book, somebody had commented down below to read this book because it's like the Apothecary Diaries. And I'm in my Apothecary Diaries era right now, okay? In this book, we are following Lady Tan as she's growing up and as a woman. So we start from when she's a young child, she loses her mother, and then she goes to live with her grandparents. Her grandparents both are doctors, so they both teach her their types of medicine because they are different from one another. And I love this book because we are learning ancient Chinese medicine along with Lady Tan. We are seeing what it's like to be in that era of feet binding, and women should be trophies, basically. And it's so interesting to see how she manages to continue to do her physician's work in secret while being a wife and a mother. And it's just so good. It's so good. There are so many periods of her life that we follow, from a young girl to an adult woman. I love it. I would highly recommend this book. I gave this book 4.5 stars. Time for some statistics. For the month of February, I read a total of 9 books, 3 physical, 4 audio, and 2 ebooks. I read a total of 2,934 pages. That's an average of 108 pages per day. On average, it took me about 4.3 days to finish a book, and I had an average rating of 3.9, which is pretty dang good if you ask me. I read 8 female authors and 4 new-to-me authors. I read 3 YA books and 6 adult books. I read 3 fantasy, 1 historical fiction, 2 thriller, and 3 other. Those would be my graphic novels. And my favorite book of the month was Lady Tan's Circle of Women. I didn't think that I would ever have a historical fiction book as one of my favorites, but I think that I've just been reading the wrong era because I ate it up. So if you have any more suggestions that are set in Imperial China, I would love to hear them from you. I'm looking forward to these books, y'all. Okay, thank you guys so much for watching and hanging out with me while I talk about books and update you on my doggy. If you're still hanging out with me, please leave me the dog emoji, and I will see you soon in a new video. Happy reading. By Deborah Harkness. Deborah something. Very which how do I explain this? Okay. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that's enough. I hope that's enough.